done, mercenary. Looks like you've been pretty effective. Raising this blockade and freeing the other tower is a job well done. Thank you.
Mercenary, it is well that you are returned. A creature that seemed like a dead thing came. It claimed you had sent it.
Yeah, he's a potential ally. Don't worry about it.
I fear I attacked him, and arrested him. He tried to talk to me, but I felt safer with it under guard, considering his face.
Where is he now?
He is with the Red Scribes.
Perfect.
Mercenary.
I'm leaving.
Well, you again. Can I help you?
Show me what you have to sell.
Alas, not much.
They attacked the wrong person. How dare they condemn our king to such a macabre fate? My father. It's time for us to repay the Deadwalkers in kind. I want to see them destroyed, so not a single one of those dead ever dare set foot in our streets again. We're going to launch a massive assault to take back our city. It is time to turn the tide of this war. Vulcan, we will need you and your extraordinary abilities. We have to send a small group to open the city gates. I'm counting on you. I know that you can be stealthy and incredibly effective. A few soldiers will be going with you. This is our best chance. Blackfrost doesn't seem to be here anymore, and most of his forces went with him. But before we launch the assault, we need to strengthen our army. I've been told there are prisoners in the city. If we free those soldiers, we can add them to our ranks. We're also going to need to get our equipment in as good shape as possible. We're fortunate that our smith has survived. Let us hope he'll be able to provide us with everything we need. But it's better to make sure.
Thou knowest that Blackfrost's palace will take us to the world heart. Yet still thou dost waste thy time in vain battles. Thy stupidity knows no bounds.
Vulcan, I need your help.
What, sorting books? Observing swamp critters? You don't think I have better stuff to do right now?
That's not fair. I'm not stupid. I understand that what is most important now is the fight, and our soldiers...
The Freeborn Blades will do just fine. Don't you worry about that.
Not them, the other human soldiers.
What's wrong?
I'm not sure we can count on them. They've already lost the war. They're only staying here because the elves are protecting them. But they've got no fight left in them. They have to believe they can win. They have to fight alongside the elves and the Freeborn Blades. I've tried talking with them, but they treat me like a child. Maybe they would listen if you would talk to them.
Me? Most regular soldiers don't have time for mercenaries.
They just need to get their spirit back, boost their morale. I'm sure you could find some words to help them.
Sybil, can I talk to you?
Yes?
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
What do you want to know?
I've been thinking about the books in the library. I found a building that must be the library you were talking about. I think we should go there together. Shall we go?
It would be my pleasure.
So, what do you think of Mathras?
I think he's absolutely unique, fascinating. I have always loved history and history books, but he actually lived through history. It's just incredible. There is so much we can learn from him. His knowledge could allow us to better understand what happened in our past. We could learn from the eras of our ancestors.
Do you really think he's immortal?
Oh, I'm convinced of it. You only have to look at him. He's so cultured and has so much knowledge. Which reminds me...
Something to do with our decomposing friend?
Yes, he won't talk to me about his romantic experiences. I managed to get a lot of stories about battles and all sorts of historical anecdotes, but nothing about his love life. It's not that I want to pry into his intimate life, but I do wonder why he's so reticent to talk about it.
I could always ask him for you.
How can I help you, mercenary?
I'll be going now. Sybil, can I talk to you?
Yes?
I'd like...
What?
How can I help you,
I'll be going.
Vulcan, come here. I need to talk to you about something. While you were in the city, the Deadwalkers apparently began stirring. Several scouts have disappeared without a trace. They can't just have been ambushed by chance. Someone must have given their routes to our enemies. I'm afraid we have a traitor among us. Though if that's the case, I don't understand why we haven't been attacked by the Deadwalkers yet. What's really troubling is that these disappearances pretty much correspond to your arrival here, which means that your living dead friend is the prime suspect. Even if it's just as possible that it's one of the Red Scribes, or even one of your people.
And why can't it be one of your people?
Why would he do that? And above all, why would he wait until now to betray us?
Who knows what goes on in a traitor's head? Maybe he thought that everything was played out and my presence here made him change his mind. After all, till we got here, you weren't doing much. But now things have started to move, and the outcome of the combat has become less certain.
You're extremely presumptuous. If what you say is true, this traitor actually waited to see if you were really capable of reversing the situation. Fine, for the sake of argument. Will you help us carry out this investigation? Yes or no?
I'll see what I can do. But if it turns out the traitor is one of your people, you better do what you have to.
I've taken a tour of the camp, and it's like a sieve.
Huh. What do you propose?
Well, I'd be safer with a few dozen well-placed traps. Do you think you could build them for me?
I'll take care of that as soon as I get a second. Let's change the subject. I need your expertise. Will you come with me?
Of course I will. Lead the way.
Relmar, you got a minute?
Yes?
I built your traps. I still need to make a few more. I'll be bringing him soon. Let's move on. Relmar, you got a minute?
Yes?
I built your traps. Okay, here are your traps. Now you just need to put them in place.
Thank you. I must admit that I'm relieved it was you who built them. I'd been living in fear of messing up my hairstyle permanently had I tried to do it.
Let's move on. What can you tell me about Mathras?
He is a most unusual being. Do you realize he has been alive for over 6,000 years?
Don't you get the impression that he's just talking bullshit?
Even though at first sight, such a long existence sounds impossible, he has knowledge of history that makes it very difficult for us to doubt his word. And his appearance speaks for itself, if I may be so bold.
It's true that he does look a bit ripe.
As far as I understand it, he regularly changes his bodies. As soon as the one he's taken starts wearing out, he procures a new frame. What is really fascinating is that he is the kind of undead that was previously unheard of. We had no idea there was a being able to transfer their soul from one body to another in order to keep living. Remember that his knowledge could very well turn our vision of mortality upside down. And of course he might provide unhoped-for help against the lords of the frozen shadows.
What did I tell you? Once they've recovered from the shock of my somewhat shriveled appearance, everybody thinks I'm highly useful.
He could really help us out. If we could only be sure he wasn't working for the enemy.
You insult me yet again. Joining forces with a band of apprentice sorcerers with a thirst for power would be unworthy of my condition. And didn't I already tell you how to enter the city?
Some basic information that got you into our camp. It seems pretty clever to me.
Really? What would be in it for me? Not that the company of these scribes is unpleasant, but I doubt that our simple little discussions will affect the course of the war.
I can confirm that he hasn't ever been alone. But you look a bit preoccupied with something. Am I right?
The commander says there's a traitor in the camp, and our new friend is obviously a prime suspect. What if he can read minds?
Well, I think that the commander is wrong. We've spoken for a long time with Mathras, and I don't believe for a second that he's got anything to do with your problem. It's obviously very difficult to detect telepathic communication, but as far as I can see, there's nothing to indicate he's capable of it.
Very well. I'll just have to trust you. Let's talk about something else. Do you have a moment? I wanted to ask you. Let's change later.
Greetings, mercenary. What can I do for you?
You would know more about the Deadwalkers than us. Who do you think the spy is?
Walking around in a dead body doesn't make one an expert on all other dead things, young man. In fact, I find the suggestion vaguely insulting. But I have learned to trust my experience, something that you, despite your youth, should attempt to do also. I imagine we could quite easily reduce the possibilities. Firstly, the traitor must be able to enter and leave the camp without being stopped. Then, it must be someone who can observe your comings and goings without drawing attention to themselves. Lastly, it is someone who knows your plans. Someone who knows your military commander's orders. That alone excludes a large number, particularly the undead here. In your place, I should go and question the camp watchman. Logic suggests they will have seen something.
Thanks for the tips. I'll get right on it. Let's change. Who are you exactly?
I am Mathras, immortal and unique.
Right. So why aren't you out there hanging out with your Deadwalker friends?
First of all, I don't have any pals. I'm a little too old for that. Secondly, I find your implication that I am associated with them most unpleasant. I have nothing in common with those dead things. I've been around for over 6,000 years, and I'm still very much alive, thank you. I admit this body is looking a little worn.
6,000 years old. Hey, you don't look a day over 250.
You flatterer. I did, however, lose a toe this morning. Nonetheless, these Deadwalkers are simply corpses as they're animated by magic. Whereas I am an immortal spirit who changes bodies when they wear out. There's absolutely no similarity.
That's not so dumb. It's what allows you to go on having an effect on the world, I guess.
Exactly. I give these bodies extra life that they would not have had if they'd stayed dead. Though, of course, these days, it's unlikely they would stay dead for very long.
I want to ask you a couple of questions. Why did you come to Carolthas?
Why not? There's one thing you should know about eternity. It can be rather dull. So I do my very best to be in the right place at the right time. The place where it's the most fun.
Fun? You think this is fun?
Well, distracting then, if you prefer. What do you expect? I'm just so bored. The End of the World is a show I wouldn't want to miss.
What do you know about the Deadwalkers?
Apart from the fact that they're an incongruous mass of corpses with appalling bad taste that are animated through the use of magic, nothing. I can tell you that the power necessary for their creation and to keep them working is far beyond the magical abilities of any of your contemporaries. And since it's obvious they're incapable of any decision-making or strategy, they are clearly being controlled from a distance. All of which suggests the Ice Lords who are controlling these things are rather powerful. Something, I grant you, quite difficult to believe when one saw them start out at the same pitiful level of incompetence as their brothers, the Red Scribes.
In 6,000 years, have you ever seen a situation as desperate as this one?
Honestly? Well, no. You are, as you might put it, fucked. Or at least the mortals seem to be. But you carry something within you that may modify things somewhat. And it is this seemingly insignificant detail, this flap of a butterfly's wing, which may eventually change the apparently manifest destiny of the world as you know it. This demon, as you call it, has never before walked the earth. Neither he, neither it, nor any other of its kind. If they had, I would know of it, believe me. Consequently, and in spite of the evident futility of such a sentiment, there may be grounds for you to feel a slight glimmer of hope. That is, of course, if it is your desire to avert disaster.
Well, that's comforting. What happened to the Elven King?
I think he was simply lacking in strength of will and determination. They transformed him into an arch-lich. It's a particularly delicate and extremely dangerous magical process that could only be performed by an Ice Lord. It can only be performed on an elf, and then only one who is desperate to live.
How so?
Elves have many flaws, but most of them do have a very profound sense of duty. If an elf believes he is going to be tortured to make him reveal the secrets of his people, for example, he can literally will himself to die. It would seem that this king was desperate to continue living at any price, rather than dying with honor. That is what allowed them to turn him into an arch-lich.
Do you have any idea about what I am becoming?
In all my long lives, I've never seen your like. Even the term demon seems to be designed to cause confusion. I have seen real demons when I lived as a war drum player amongst the dwarves.
Dwarves are just legend. You're yanking my chain.
It would be churlish to mock someone when it is so easy. Thus the dwarves did exist, and I was once one of them. they used to use these little creatures, barely the size of toddlers, in their enormous forges. They were little red creatures with tiny horns and a wicked air about them. You see, they were able to survive in the flames. The dwarves called them demons. You look a little like one of them, only much bigger. And you have an even more pronounced affinity with fire. I'm reserving judgment about the wicked attitude. I believe this affinity with flames is no coincidence. You are clearly a response, a weapon, and your purpose is to face the Ice Lords. It is entirely possible that you are the fruit of an attempt to rebalance the forces of nature. Alas, I have no idea which entity is behind all of this.
How are things with Sybil?
What a charming young girl. Her hunger for knowledge reminds me of myself in the distant past, when I was young and still living in my first body. I imagine that if I still felt any physical desires, I would happily give her a good few hours of one-on-one experimental physical training. And it seems to me that she's rather more interested in getting your attention. At any rate, she is by far the most interesting red scribe I've met in the past 300 years, though I fear that may not be much of a compliment, given their legendary incompetence.
Why won't you tell Sybil about your love lives?
I wouldn't have thought you'd be interested in the prurient questions of that young girl, charming as she may be. It seems to me that my sexuality is my own business, as well as which, I suspect my stories would be quite shocking to an innocent girl like that.
Come on, then.
I have been alive on Vertial a very long time, and before I lost all desire of any kind, I think I probably experienced everything possible, both emotionally and sexually. To recount all my adventures to you in detail would require weeks, apart from which, it's out of the question that I should speak of these things out loud.
As bad as that?
You doubt my word? Very well. Let me tell you about my 14th wife, the Princess of the Elephant City.
For real? But that's gross.
And those are some of my cleaner stories. I told you, I've tried everything. Perhaps now you understand my reticence with your young friend.
Exactly. So what should I tell her?
Whatever you wish. I will confirm whatever story you tell.
Talk to you later. Sybil, can I talk to you?
Yes?
I spoke with Mathras. He finally agreed to talk to me about his love life. Well, lives.
And? What did he tell you?
He speaks well and everything, but deep inside, he's twisted. And you don't want to know more. Believe me, sister.
Oh, come on. I'm not such an innocent, you know.
Whatever you say, but some stories have to be whispered. Flesh. Orgy. Special trick. And elephants. And then an ice cube. Plunged. And collect. A coconut. The crowd. And drink it.
I had never imagined people would want to do such things.
You wanted to know. Now you know. I need a bath. I need your help. Come with me.
If you want.
In our camp? Aren't you afraid it'll communicate with its masters? Sir?
It's a calculated risk. Your friend Edwin told me that she can interrogate those creatures, so we captured one.
You really can do some pretty weird things.
Listen, Vulcan. We're not going to turn down any information. If we can find out how to haul our asses out of the fire, I don't see how it can hurt. Ready to make it talk?
If our fire breather doesn't need me right away, I can start getting ready.
Excellent. Let's start the interrogation.
Listen, maggot head. You're going to tell us everything you know.
That's not quite how it works, Captain. It can't just answer questions like that. Tell me what you want to know, and I'll dig around in its memory to find the answers.
In that case, why not dig everything out, so we don't miss anything?
Even for someone as skilled as me, that could take weeks. Its brain, however limited, is like an immense archive that contains both recent memories and memories of its past life.
All right. I want to know if that bastard Black Frost really has left the area.
Let me concentrate. Yes. I see him raising the wave and turning the whole city into ice. This soldier must have been at his feet. Then he gave the order to attack and gave orders to several powerful undead. Apparently he left right after. He appears nowhere else in its memory.
What were the Black Frost's orders?
You have to understand that this creature's ability to comprehend is limited. From what I can see, it was told to keep watch over the city. He asked to be sent living people. Prisoners. The other living people must still be alive and under guard. Other prisoners. And of course, that he be informed in the event of trouble.
Does he know we entered the city?
This dead thing doesn't anyway. But that doesn't mean a thing, unfortunately.
What are those powerful dead you were talking about?
I see a flying creature, like the one in the swamp, and others. The image is blurred.
So the army is being commanded by a tormentor now?
No, I don't think so. They make good spies, but poor leaders. That said, I don't see any real generals.
Nothing that looks like that one that attacked the village.
No, but Black Frost will definitely have left someone in charge. Someone he trusts. This soldier just didn't see who. I think that he... Oh no! He saw me!